Well, Gary, I saw Gary. I saw you, Gary, rocking. You're rocking to the beat or something like that today a while ago. Huh?
Yeah, man, it's very rockability. You know what I mean?
I like that word. I need to check my my dictionary to see if there's a word called rockability. Is there a word called rockability? Get my researchers let's see if there's a word called rockability. I'm sure there's a word called rockability.
Well, you know, us Jamaicans, we're always making up words and phrases.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening, myself and Gary, on In Review. Look at some of the news of this week and just go for a quick hour. And thank you for those on Instagram, which I'll be there for just a brief moment. Those on Facebook, but primarily on YouTube. Today, the 23rd of February, 2022. Gary, how are you doing, man? How's the week so far? A week almost done. We always come to the week done.
yeah, done. But yeah, thank the Lord. It's good to be alive. It's great to know that I'm able to interact with my friends, family, and to be on the next episode of the Seymour or the Sylybourne Show.
Yes.
That really crowns off my week, man.
most definitely. I must say that my church have this magazine which is called the what they call the magazine. It's called Where Are They Now? It's a magazine which they have, and my walk and talk motivational moments and my body and soul fitness, which comes we do the body and soul fitness every Tuesday, and there it is. Let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. Can you see me there? Yeah.
What would be good is if you could tell your followers and your leaders there that you're on Facebook or on Instagram almost every day or whenever you're on it, so at least they'll see you in action, not just in picture.
Yeah. Most definitely. On every morning, I'm out on the street there, walking in the park, enjoying the natural nature, because I think that is so really crucial. Let me see if I can actually turn the video so we can actually see this a bit better. And there it is there. Church turns negativity into positivity for its community. And there, man, the guys. Oh, that's my wife there. She's learning to play the piano. there it is there. And myself and the guys in there. And the pastor there as well, you know. So that's good there. And I must say, even today when I was walking in the park, it reminded me so much of the time when we had the lockdown period, Gary. And during the lockdown period, we were forbidden from saying certain words. We were forbidden from saying certain terms, or they would shut us down. And I do recall that the powers that be even shut down a couple of our shows on Instagram as well. They just went in there and just shut it down because we mentioned certain keywords, and it was a pleasure just actually saying that it was good that I stood my ground and didn't want certain things to happen to me. And I said, when you're in a lockdown, don't be in a lockdown mode. When you're in lockdown, don't be in a lockdown mode, because that is whereby there's a psychological factor with it. When you're quarantined, don't be in a quarantine mode, because there's a psychological aspect to it as well, even though we understand where they're coming from. When you're in a shield, don't be in a shield mode, and don't be in an isolation mode. And I was just being reflected on some of these terms and these things which was being pushed out. And I as a rebel and as an activist, you know, you try not to just accept things like that. And where we are now, we are seeing such a major difference with everything, and queries will have to be had at some point, you know. I mean, Gary, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that people are listening. If that's the case, people are listening.
Yes.
And I think even Stillborn, if you're being threatened with shutdown or lockdown or removal, let your listeners know. Tell them,
Yes.
because at least you're hitting the nerve that you want to hit.
Mm.
I think people, once your people know that you are saying what needs to be said
Yes.
by way of the reaction that you are
Mm.
receiving from the people who needs to hear,
Yes.
then I think it's a good idea to let the people know. So I think you ought to
Yes.
be proud. People are threatening you to close you down.
Yeah, and we're gonna touch on even Dr. Shola later because sometimes people will have voices, and the voices might not be the voice that you like to hear, and people try to scare them. And we're gonna talk about her later about what she's actually even going through. But first of all, I just want to flag up on Nicola Bulley. You remember the lady who what's that? Gary? That's me.
No, I don't know. What was that? What did you hear?
Okay, I see what has happened. I am actually. Can you hear me now? You heard me twice, yeah?
Not
Can you?
really, but
No. Oh, you couldn't hear me. Or I was hearing myself twice. Yes. I
okay.
had something else on. Nicola Bulley. If ladies and gentlemen remember the lady that we nobody could find, and there she is. May her soul rest in peace. Nicola Bulley, and the mother of two, the lady who disappeared during a riverside dog walk in St. Michael's in Lancashire 3 weeks ago. Lancashire police said they sadly recovered the body after a call to near to the River Wycliffe Road at 11:35 on Sunday. You know, death was currently being treated as unexplained. It added. Nicola's family have been informed of developments, and our thoughts are with them and most difficult times. So it's sad that
Yeah,
this has happened, and at least there's some sort of resolution, and some peace for the family, even though it might be in turmoil at the same time. Um, you know, and one of the things about it is that like people walking. 'Cause I was on BBC 94.9 on Sunday. And we are talking about it, and I said that being a person who walk a lot in the park, I can understand the sentiments, especially because I see a lot of lone walkers in the park. Ladies lone, men walk alone, dogs with them, and of course they might be very concerned about the whole thing. And but having some sort of resolution that at least maybe there could be a stalker, somebody bothering people. But hey, Gary.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is sad. It is sad that I don't know. I don't know if do you think that they would um find some kind of foul play with it? Do you think?
Well, one of the things that it was a psychic person who actually found the body. Some psychic person who found the body on the particular tree, which was in the water, and lots of TikTokers. They're saying lots of TikTokers are persons that are actually trying to sort out this case still by saying if they're saying the body wasn't there, who put the body there? That's what people are saying. So the CSI Miami guys, they're all out there now trying to ascertain what it is and to see how long was she in the water. That's the thing. How long was
Yeah,
she in the water as well?
because if the
Mm.
police claimed, and they did it nationally, if they claimed that they searched the river the way that they did, why? How did they miss that?
That's
Because
mm,
because when I mean, let us say when the police do anything, they do it thoroughly, don't they? They go down
yes,
on hands and feet, and
yes,
especially if it's in the river, they have a process that they kind of, you know, I don't know what the process is. I don't know what it's called, but it's as if they walk it. They even put scuba divers down there to search every
yes,
area of a river. So how comes that they miss this body?
yes.
You know
And
how
and and
come?
and that's a big thing. How did they miss the body? And many people are also saying that the TikTokers and the social media also played a negative role in the process. But my view is that TikTokers or social media people, they're all in it trying to solve the matter and trying to find the lady. So it is like police have to recognize now that social media plays a fundamental role. Even though the police are questionable now and they are now being interviewed and they are now being, uh, the right word is investigated as to the disclosure of the personal information about Nicola, about Miss Bully, you know. So they are now being
Yeah,
investigated and to
yeah,
see what went wrong and how did they miss the body. And even the guy that was saying, "Hey, I know where she," I checked the water and she wasn't there as well. That's another person. So there's a lot of questions to be answered for that, and the police have not been in the good stead at this point. So may she rest in peace and her family and her husband. But it may not be over as yet, Gary. They might be trying to find out if there's any foul play because they say it's unexplained at this point. You know.
yeah. It's very strange. Yeah,
Mm.
it is strange. It's very strange that it's very strange about what the police have done, and yet
Mm.
somebody else, a psychic. I mean,
Yeah,
what the
yeah. Not a sidekick, a psychic. Not a psychic. A psychic is the one that actually found her. Yeah, he's the one that actually, and he pointed out. He said he was getting a bit annoyed, and he had to use his powers. To
yeah,
assist.
yeah. It's a bit strange. It's
Mm,
strange. It's quite
yeah,
strange.
yeah. So anyway, at least that is resolved now. But let's hope that they also do that same level of intensity as well for other persons as well. The same level of intensity when searching for other persons, not just anybody actually searching for people as much as possible. So yeah. But anyway, another thing which came to me today, and apparently it was a couple of days ago, but I was shocked to really read it. And Dr. Shola, who is there? That's her picture there. Let me just break it down a bit as to who is Dr. Shola. Dr. Shola says she's Dr. Shola Moshog Mamimo. That's her name there, and she's a firebrand. I don't have any video for her 'cause I don't have the rights of it to play it. But she's a firebrand person who always talks about. She highlights a lot of racist issues, and she deal with inequalities and injustice. And I would say she's a, a freedom fighter at this time. Many people also question her style as to that she sees racism in everything, and but she received, Gary, a very disturbing. I'm gonna see if I can. She received a very disturbing um post today in her at home, and she's a British Nigerian lawyer and academic, notable as an activist and political commentator. She frequently comments on women's rights, law, politics, diversity, equality, and exclusion. And that's her there. And I've got another picture of her. There she is, Dr. Shola. Gary, she received this very disturbing letter, and I put the letter up there just a bit so people can even look at it. It says, "This is National Action League. Cell, we are watching you. Shola, you are a consistent troublemaker and liar who appears on television frequently." It goes on and on, Gary, and it's as negativity, and it uses the N word and lots of things. And they say, "We are watching you. We know where you live." And they even went further by saying, to get rid of you is not murder, but some other things. You know what I mean, Gary? Uh, and many people are saying, "Welcome. This is England. This is what the UK is," and I think this is Britain. That is what I think she had put out there as well. What do you think about that? I don't know. What's your take on this?
Well, it you can't read it. Can you read it out?
You want me to read it out?
Yeah, no, read it because I haven't seen it. I can't comment on something I haven't
Okay,
read.
okay, okay.
So it's good if you read it so that at least your listeners themselves would have an
Yeah.
idea of what it is.
Well, let me read it out. Let me read it out properly from here, and 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 put her picture there. There she is. It says, "Sh- This is National Action London call. We are watching you. Shola, you are a constant troublemaker and a liar who appears on television frequently. You make a shabby living from criticizing and race grifting against ethnic white Europeans and our culture. We have placed you on our kill list and intend to kill you, your children, and your husband. You have gone too far, and it is now time for you to pay the price. You are filthy, blah, 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 troublemaking N word. You look like a G and probably smell just like one. What is the thing on your head? Look like a turd. Going further, it's really horrible. You are somebody who should never be allowed to breathe our air and take up space, our country. You are blah, blah, of the multicultural society, filthy, blah, 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 a lying Yoruba, monkey who lives in a nice house with a nice big garden. We are watching you. We have followed you around. We know your movements. And I read it further. This is a serious notice from National Action London. We are notifying you of our intention to KU and your family. We do not consider this to be murder. You're all filthy pea monkeys. We have guns and knives and are watching your house. We will be following you as you walk around your area. You have been allowed in this country and you have no place here. You're a woman who clearly belongs in Africa with your own F kind. You have a nice house. We suggest you leave the UK ASAP. This is the only way you can avoid what is coming to you. You need to hide because of your details have been circulated to others on the internet. Violent national activists, black shirts, and
Um,
others. Gary,
still,
yeah,
still.
yeah.
All right, don't go any further.
I won't go no further.
You see,
Yeah,
yeah, don't go no further. You see, the thing about it,
yeah,
and what we've got to understand here,
mm,
is that it's not only Dr. Shola that they're talking about.
yes,
They're talking about you. They're talking
mm,
about me. They're talking about your wife, my wife, your
yes,
children, my children. They don't.
yes,
There are certain sections of this community, and when I say this community, you understand what I'm saying.
yes,
Of our community, that they do not care about black people. In other
mm,
words, they hate us. I don't think that will ever change. They're just expressing what we already know about us.
yeah,
Black women is not a threat. Black women are not a threat really to some extent in society.
yeah,
It's black men
mm,
and well, I mean when I say black women are not a threat, I mean in a sense that in their minds, that is why our boys, our sons, our men,
yeah,
and they're not promoted or they're not spoken highly of. That is why, again, within our own groupings and organizations, we are being encouraged to speak up about our black boys,
yes,
our black. We need encouragement, but we're not getting that. Our
yes,
the society in which we are in will not encourage black boys to become lawyers or to become doctors or to become chartered accountants or
mm,
judges or high court judges or whatever the case may be, because they don't think that we're able. They don't think that our sons are able to do that, capable. What they think
mm,
our sons are capable of doing is running down a little ball down a field and getting it kicked into a goal for 5 years, if so long, and
yes,
then placed on the rubbish heap, so
yes,
so to speak. And the next best thing is to be a gang leader, to sell drugs. If my
mm,
son turned up in a BMW, well dressed,
yeah,
well spoken, people are going to think, well, is a drugs dealer. They
Yes.
don't automatically think that he's a doctor, or he could be a lawyer, or he's someone that is well respected and holds high office. That's not what comes into the minds of people.
Yes.
And my heart goes out to Dr. Shola. You know, that if that is what she's having to deal with, then the police needs to take that up. But
Yeah.
the police itself is having problems, because if the
Yes.
police has black officers and they are running them out because they're commissioners, then can we really have faith in the police agency in
Mm.
looking after or in addressing the letter that was written to this lady? It
And and
horrible.
interesting thing about it is that you mentioned about men, because I think you could see that she was physically shaken when she was talking today on the news, and she's normally firebrand. You know what I'm trying to say, because guess what? It said her husband. So you see, they're reaching out to the man. You know what I'm trying to say,
Well,
your
you mean
husband,
that?
and you're yeah,
Yeah, I mean that she anybody to some
mm,
extent would feel shaken if you got a letter say we're watching you, Silburn. We know where
yeah.
you are. We know where you
Yeah.
live. We know which school your children go
Mm.
to. How would you feel? You know,
Well,
you'd be
I
looking over
yeah.
your shoulder every minute.
Yeah. Well, I was getting some threatening calls one time. I think a few years ago, maybe a good 7 years ago, because as an activist, I was getting some threatening calls, some funny calls, and I called it, and I alerted the police about it, and we are talking about it, and they actually proposed to me, "Do you want us to move you?" You know, in a way, because of all, you know. But I think somehow it whatever, but one cannot actually take these things very lightly, and Dr.
No, you
Shola
can't.
should not take it lightly, because and the funny thing about it is that the in the post, or in the letter which was dropped through our post box, because ITV actually showed it, the movement is called the National Action London Cell. It says it's a cell, but normally these supremacist group or white ring groups or whatever like that, they don't normally say their names in it so blatantly, because in a way it is like exposing them, or unless, I guess they say cells. That's where they use cells, just like
Well,
how the terrorists operate, cells.
I mean,
Mm.
my thoughts on that, my and a question I'd like to ask, and I know that probably you can't answer it,
Yes.
is if it is a cell, do the police know about it?
Mm.
Because I mean, there are undercover agents, and there is a department in the police forces, isn't it, that acts on
These
counter-terrorism or something like
counterterrorism,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and they know things more than before it comes out in the public. So it'd be
Mm.
interesting that if it is a group, if it is a group, the
Yeah.
police must know that where they are.
Yes.
Things just don't happen in isolation, and the police say they don't know anything about it. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And there are some things that the police says that they can't. I mean, if they come out and say we can't say,
Yeah.
or we can't vouch, or whatever, then I would more or less lean to that. But if they come out
Yeah.
and say they don't know anything about that, I don't believe that.
Or that they
I
have
believe,
somewhat some sort of inside information, or the fact that maybe they got cells within cells, or they got people inside, their informers or so inside these things, um but the only thing, and I know that Dr. Shola is out there fighting, and and I'm going to look. It'd be good to actually show what she's about, and if I can actually show a bit of her. And I think I've got a bit here. Yes, let me show this bit about her, if anything. Yeah, let me show this bit. I think I've got this bit here, Gary. I'll show this bit here. about her and the video. Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me for 1 second. Dr. Shola. Dr. Shola. Here it is. No, that's not it. Can you see it? No,
Yeah,
no, that's not it. Yeah.
I think
Keep
we've
talking,
got
Gary.
to
Keep
our
talking, and I'll find it. Yeah, keep talking. Yeah.
I think our listeners has to be aware, and we certainly have to be aware that when something like this happens, at least one individual that, let's say in this instance, is speaking on our behalf,
Yes.
speaking out in public in certain areas, on certain platforms, on our behalf. When she gets reactions, or when individuals get reactions like these, it must be noted that it's not just the activist, if that's what you want to say, or the individual that they are
Yes.
fighting, speaking against, but they're speaking out against us.
Yes.
Because if they can hurt one individual, such as Dr. Shola or whoever the individual is, they will hurt you. They will
Yes.
hurt me. They will
Yeah.
hurt us.
Yeah. Let
So,
me let me
so
mm, let me
go
see if
ahead.
I can play this video of her. There we go.
A racist far-right death threat posted into activist Dr. Shola's home for simply speaking out.
We are notifying you of our intention to kill you and your family.
Shola, these are some serious threats, not just to you, but to your children. Just how did you react to this?
Rage. I felt so angry when I read that. Like, how dare they? How dare you? By the time I got to the end of the letter, my forethought was, how do I protect my family?
The letter states it's from National Action, a terrorist group banned in 2016 for their racist ideology and glorification of violence.
I'm going to speak right now.
Dr. Shola is a political activist and regular commentator on Good Morning Britain. The letter she received on Monday is littered with racial slurs and direct references to Dr. Shola's campaigning.
It's because people like me are speaking the truth in fighting white supremacy.
Dr. Shola believes the tone of British politics around institutional racism and immigration have re-energised far-right beliefs.
Using words like invasion to asylum seekers and refugees, especially those who come from ethnic minority backgrounds. It speaks directly to how British ethnic minorities are.
Can I just stop this right there, Gary? Can you hear me? Yeah. And when she used the word invasion, you know what she's referring to? She's referring to the Home Secretary and those guys when they use the word invasion with the immigrants coming in, you know. And what she's talking about, these things fire up or breed or, you know, sort of promote this sort of movement from these different persons. But let us hear continue there.
Also treated.
India Willoughby, the UK's first transgender newsreader, also received a threatening letter. Just 2 years ago, a Metropolitan Police officer was sentenced for being a member of the banned group. But the problem goes beyond the capital. Figures show that nearly half of all counter-terrorism arrests in the year up to September 2022 were related to extreme right-wing terrorism.
Shola, you've received this letter to try and silence you, but if you were to give a message directly to the people that have sent this or to anyone that agrees with it, what would you say?
I think it's important for them to understand this. I will not be silenced, and I will not be silent. I am not the problem here. You are. This country, the United Kingdom, we love so much, and the greatness you believe this country has was created, added to, expanded on by people like me and the ancestors of people like me. We belong here.
The police are aware of the letters and the Met's counter-terrorism command are investigating. Anton Allen, ITV News.
Yes, Gary. So that's, people can see what she's about and what she looks like, and as you rightly say, one cannot just look at it as her only, but like it's an attack on all by a group, by a particular group, and one sometimes have to put it into perspective, because does it tarnish the UK or it tarnishes groups within the UK? What's your take on that? Tarnishes the UK or tarnishes group within the UK? Because many indigenous white people, Caucasian in this country, are appalled by this group and the
I
letter.
don't think tarnish is the word. I mean,
I'm sorry.
I don't think tarnish is the word at all. It doesn't tarnish. It just
Yes.
proves what the UK is.
Mm,
It just proves what the UK is, I mean, it may be difficult to understand or to see that, but I think
yeah.
we've got to call a spade a spade.
Mm,
And um, again, going back to what we had spoken of a few weeks back
yes.
about a very famous footballer that I think there are
Running.
some in, interviewers that don't like to have him on board or to
Yeah.
interview him because he has hit the nail on the head. That
He always hits the nail on the head each time, and they don't
always,
like it. Yes.
always,
Mm,
he says that you cannot change, in reference to football, you cannot change football until you change society.
society.
And society is the problem. You cannot change anything until you change the mindset of society.
Mm,
And what we are seeing, what we are experiencing, it really doesn't matter whether it's you, Dr. Shola, myself. It could be David Lammy, it could be um, you know, um, uh, Ian Wright, who's a
mm,
footballer. Just look at, just point out black men, black women, whatever they may
mm,
be doing in society, whatever area of society they
yeah.
are working or they are influencing. Once they come up against these things, such as what Dr. Shola has experienced,
Yes.
coming up against us, it's
Mm,
us.
mm,
It's us as a people. And we've got to realize,
yeah.
yes, we have, you do, I do. I went to
Mm,
school. Well, okay, let me just say I went to school in Jamaica with some of my best friends are,
yes.
are white. Some of my best friends are white. So
Mm,
so so it doesn't tarnish them. It's not tarnishing them. I know what they think and I know what they're like. And
yes.
because we we go to school and we have, they consider themselves black. But I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm just saying that that the there are white men and women who we would class as friends.
Mm,
We would class as friends. So we can't paint everybody with the same brush.
rush. Yeah.
We can't do that. And that's not what I tend to do here. But what
And
I do want to bring across,
yes.
Sil, is that in society and in the UK society,
Yes.
there is an element, there is an element of racism
Yes.
that really is confronting us, and I can't see it getting
Mm.
any better. I can't
Well,
see it getting any.
well, it's interesting. Just say hi to Michelle. Michelle, you're not that late. You're just late, but not that late. Michelle is there. You're not that late. It's interesting now as well, because even the young lady there who was beaten up by the other white girls, it's strange how nothing has come out of that, or if something has come out of that, we don't know what came out of it as well. And I remember the guys that went down there and were demonstrating, and what they said: if you touch one of us, you touch all of us. and what is happening with Dr. Shola in a way, whether one likes her views or not. And I mean, I know of her, and I've seen some black persons don't like her views, but I'm sure everyone is appalled, even I myself is appalled by the fact that someone who has a right to speak is being, trying to be cancelled. It's that same cancel culture in a different form, trying to cancel someone out from actually speaking her mind and speaking what she believes and speaking her truth at the same time. And her truth could be the truth, right? And therefore there's a clear need that one and within communities will have to be very, very shrewd and understand that they have to come together and work very strategically as much as possible at this time, because there's a saying, the more things change, the more things remain the same. And this could be a particular case, but I believe that is one thing we can actually take from it, is that um, not all persons or all white persons are of that disposition, but it remains that still, Gary, a lot of persons have it in their system, in their means, and these groups somewhat is their front, which they're somewhat glad about at the same time, but they won't say it as well.
A thought came into my mind, and I don't know if this is a question that could be asked.
Yeah.
But a young man, and this is in relation also to that young girl that got beaten up at the school.
Yes.
Right? Now, we've got young men. Okay, they may have been mixed up in whatever that they shouldn't have been mixed up in.
Yes.
I'm not advocating for that at all. But I'm
Yes.
just saying, these young men shot and killed, and then the police would have to say, or the authorities, let's say, would have to say that they had a gun, they had a weapon. But yet, when the vehicle, or when the persons that they say had the weapon, when they are searched after the fact that they are killed, nothing is found.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And that's blasted all over the news media.
Mm.
Okay. You got a young girl who was beaten up, and that was blasted. You don't hear nothing else more about that. Now,
Mm.
is there a message that they're trying to send here? Is there a subliminal message that the authorities are trying to send to the black community? Sometimes, Sil, sometimes things are said, things are done, and what is being said and done, you've got to look to it, because psychologically they're sending a message to someone, or to a group of people, or to a community. So is there something that's being
Mm.
said to a community, to say, well, your black boys, your black men, they're nothing, basically. We'll get rid of them. We'll get rid of them. We'll kill them.
Yes.
Even if they don't have anything, we'll make it look like as if they've got something.
Yes.
But at least if we don't find nothing, it's just one man less that we have to deal
Mm.
with our young woman. Is there a message also subliminally being sent to
Is
say,
it?
listen,
Yeah.
she can get beaten up by other white people, and we'll have that, but then there's no consequence to that, because we
Yeah.
haven't heard anything about the people who did the beating.
Well, it's interesting what you said there, and I think it's the onus and the obligation is on us, and for me to really check out to see what came out of it, because I know that on my, and I did mention it on my TikTok, and I posted the police actually speaking, and it has amassed over near to the police that spoke. Let me tell you how much the police has gone to. The police spoke, and the amount to 87,000 views.
Wanted to bring you this update
And this is
as we continue to investigate a serious racially aggravated assault outside a school in Ashford. I want you to know that we've arrested 5 people 4 on suspicion of attempted racially aggravated GBH. 2 of these people were also arrested on suspicion of child neglect and for encouraging.
All right, I just stop it there because of the music which is playing, so I don't get copyright thing. So the police did arrest some persons. So I think I need to check it out myself to find out what happened. That's why you have to read on, above, below, and between the line. Yes, Rev, they are sending subliminal messages. That's what Michelle said. They're sending subliminal messages there. At the same, one of the things I always say now is I always talk about this in politics as well, and when people are voting and when people are doing polls. Always listen to the silent majority, or always listen to silence. Silence actually says a lot. That's why they say silence is golden at times. In some time that we're talking about, and we have to be wise, and we've got to be very perceptive at this time with these things, because Gary, there's so many activities around us. UFOs, Putin, strikes, and everything like that. But there's something also deeper. I mean, the big companies are making profits, but there's something deeper which is happening, and I think we've got to keep our eyes focused on our body as much as possible. So I hope that we follow this through, and of course, Dr. Shola, we'll know more about her, but we just wish her safety, because there's another young girl that got shot. Remember that activist there? I've been following up on her through a mate of mine who is with Take the Initiative Party, good friend of mine, the leader. I know his father very well, Mr. Gordon. And I've been following up that young girl who was shot. I think she's having some challenges there. She's been shot at the time. We didn't know who shot her, but she was in Brixton. And she was also an activist as well. And I think nobody was convicted. And many people are saying it was an accident. But then you start to wonder, was it an accident?
Are you talking about that young lady that got shot in a party?
Yes. From the Black Lives Movement.
Yeah, and she got shot.
Yeah.
You see, even that, there's nothing about that. It's as if that's just died the death.
Yes.
People get shot. We hear about it today, and then we don't hear about it afterwards. Yeah. It just goes away. That's what happens. It goes away, and I think that again, still, it's a pity that we're only on for an hour, really, and even though you did go over the time, every now and again, but I'd just like to ask this next question, Sil, and I know it's not something that we can answer again tonight, but it should be out there. I think it's something that we, the Black community in the United Kingdom, again, we should really think and consider. And the thought is this, the question, the statement is this. Who out there can rally the Black community together, not only in the London area, not only in the Liverpool area, not only in the Birmingham, the Manchester area, the Leeds, the major cities of the UK, but who out there amongst our community can really stand up and speak so that those who need to hear and listen? Because many times there are people from within our communities that speak, and when they're given a little a post or a little notoriety or whatever,
they quiet them down. They're quieted.
It's used to quieten them. It's used to keep them quiet. It's used. Now, there needs to be an individual. It needs to be. I'm not saying that it needs to be a minister, even though that may be a good avenue. And I know Sylybourne, and you know quite a few more than I do. But I know that there are. I know that there are many men, many women, just like Dr. Shola, but
yeah,
I love it to be a man. That might be a bit biased. But we've got capable people within our communities, educated, intelligent, well able to stand and to represent, not only for themselves. I'm not talking about representing themselves now. When Martin Luther King in the States, and we can't use that, we can't use American people to bring over here to represent us. It's two different communities,
Each
two
time,
different
yeah.
societies. But when Martin Luther King stood right in Georgia, stood in Washington D.C., stood in Alabama, in certain areas of the United States, he didn't stand to represent himself. He never spoke on behalf of himself. That is why he was so effective. That is why the government of his day noticed him, because when he stood, he spoke on behalf of the people. He spoke on behalf of the community. And that is what really made the difference there. Just like probably Reverend Jackson in his heyday, when he stood, again, he may not have stood for himself, but he stood out there for the people in the United States. We need someone here. There has to be an individual.
Yes.
Has to be. We can't just be living here over the Windrush years from 1948 till 2023. And there is absolutely no one that can stand and speak on behalf of the black community and the black community and the authorities that take notice. It can't happen. Something is wrong. But the thing about it is that I know that there are people out there that can speak for us. I know that there are people who can command the respect. It's the respect issue that I think we have an issue with, because everybody's trying to stand and make a name for themselves in this land here, and it can't work. If you're out there to make a name for yourself and to make some money on the side, and and to command an audience, well, it's not for you. It's not for you, because the people, it will more divide us than bring us together. But there has to be somebody. I don't understand.
Michelle answered the question there in a way by saying the society we're living in at present isn't like the society back then. It's every man for himself. Um, the today we're even talking about church tonight, and we're talking about that even in churches, God talks about tending the sheep and also feeding the sheep, taking care of the people and feeding the people. But sometimes the people want to leave, but the people are supposed to leave because it is God who is tending and feeding the people. And therefore, somebody else might come into your church as well. But also, ministers like to sometimes protect their flock or their people and don't want them to go anywhere. And therefore, everything is becoming self-obsessed. It's very selfish in a way, Gary. And as what Michelle said, every man for himself. Look at what's happening in Jamaica now, right? Every woman for themselves. Everybody thieving money. Everybody scamming. All the big cases recently is pure women on the front line, of course. We believe that there's men behind the scene. But it's like, I was speaking today in the couple of days in the park, and I was just saying I'm an activist. As an activist and as a rebel, there's something that to be in your belly. There ought to be a fire or something that drives you, not to rebel for rebel's sake, but for a cause or so. Even with the big issue which I brought up about voting for overseas people and also the exorbitant airfares, many people have come at me and trying to say it won't work, it won't work. And I'm saying, leave the people alone who's trying to do something and shut up. Because that's what people like to jump out when somebody start to do something or start to make a sound. Everybody's trying to find a justifiable reason why it can't work. And of course it can't work for them because they can't see. Because Gary, one has got to have vision. Vision.
I mean,
if nobody have vision.
still, when we well, I was in London a couple weeks back. Bernie Grant. We need more people like Bernie Grant. Now, I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not saying that what he spoke about and what he promoted and such was all 100%, but that generation, as Michelle so rightly said, that generation, they had us in mind, They had their children in mind. That's why they worked. Some of them went into politics. Some of them went into, worked as counselors. A lot of them probably didn't get anywhere, but they had their children in mind. They wanted a better life. A better life in the sense also that they left the Caribbean. Many left other islands other than Jamaica to come here for a better life. That in itself is a fight. That in itself was a struggle. Right? Now we are here. Now you and I are here as an example. I use the both of us as examples. Now we are here. What do we then do, Sil? We just sit back, we put our feet up, and we say, well, I'm not doing anything else. And anybody else that comes, as you so just rightly said, we then pull everybody down and say, well, don't do that. We're not getting anywhere. You won't get anywhere because of this and because of that. That won't work. That's not going to work. What will happen is exactly what happened to Dr. Shola. Every time that someone sticks their head above the parapet, so to speak, they get it shut off because nobody else is willing to do what Dr. Shola has dared to do. And if we would just get up off our behinds, I want to be like a prim and proper here.
Yes.
If we would just get off our behinds and stop trying to protect ourselves as individuals.
What I call it is a martyr. What I call it is a martyr for a cause, and people don't like to hear the word martyr. And someone said to me, "No, I don't want you to get too deep because I want you to. I don't want you to be John the Baptist." When they say they cut off your head, you know. But I believe very strongly that we're at this point now where people have to stand their ground or be counted as much as possible. And as what Michelle said a while ago, she said, "I can't stand people who's like that. You call people like that go along to get along. Persons who will." I find it interesting, guy, because persons who I don't communicate with for years, and when I put out the bit about exorbitant airfares, voting overseas, all of a sudden they're trying to justify why it can't work. And I said, brethren, if I was to listen to you, I'm gonna roll over and dead because nothing will happen. You know what I'm trying to say? And with persons, sometimes you got to block them. And the whole thing with Dr. Shola as well, and with Sasha, and ladies and gentlemen, let me just Sasha, that's Sasha there. She was shot. She was an activist as well, shot, and there she is now as well. Very 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 sad case for her. And Gary, the thing about it is that we may not like people. We may not like their views or so. I mean, many people don't like my views sometimes as well, as an activist and as a conservative. But one of the things I always say is that we need to allow persons to speak and listen to their views. And if you disagree, do that song by Dionne Warwick, "Walking By." If you see me walking down the street, just walk on by. And that's my philosophy. That's why I will never, ever go onto someone else's Facebook and have a go at them or their post as to what they write, because it's not my business.
It will be very interesting on what I'll be listening to find out what the police are going to do about this. Because if it was a white politician, that will be blasted all over the media. They will go tooth and nail to find who the individuals are. They would. They can't tell us that they wouldn't do it. And they can't tell us that they're doing with the same strength that they would find for the politician that they're doing it for Dr. Shola. They can't.
Yes, yes. And just to let Michelle know, she was on there and she didn't know about Sasha. There's my note there. Sasha Johnson was shot in the head at a house party in May. This year, well, not this year. I think it was last year. Was it last year or so? 4 men appear in court of shooting of BLM activist Sasha Johnson. So so we've got to protect our people as much as possible, Gary. And then with it. But anyway, I was I was going to talk on Putin, but let Putin stay. Putin was actually trying to reach out to lots of people there. Putin.
Церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательства над детьми вплоть до педофилии объявляются нормой их жизни.
So Putin apparently positioned himself right after President Biden actually gave his speech when he was in Poland. He went to Ukraine, Poland, Biden. And Putin was saying all the different things that many people want to hear, but they can't get to say, We won't go into that as well. But it's very interesting, though, as to how the world is seeing the signs on the wall of a pending war, a third world war, or whatever like that. And yet it's like they're going down that particular route. And I'm not agreeing at all with what happened in Ukraine. And I'm not agreeing with what Putin has done. But it's like, as you rightly say, Gary, none of the leaders in this world, Putin doesn't have the moral and the strength of speaking to Putin and coming and pulling them together. Neither our guy, Rishi, neither the German person, French quiet, Caribbean quiet. There's nobody with a gravitas at this time, like the Margaret Thatcher era, like the Reagan era, as we said before, as a Chancellor Merkel, that can actually pull these guys together and say, yo, let's sit down and talk. Let's come to some agreement. We're back again, Gary.
What we've got to understand here, Sil, is that the leaders of this coming out of the Second World War, they know what war would do. They experienced.
Yes, they're from the war era. Yes.
Right. Many of them, like the president of France, he was an army guy.
Yeah.
The guy from Spain, from Germany, they all had some experience of war, real war. They saw the destruction of their cities, of their countries. And what did they do? They had a vision of what they wanted their city to look like. When you go to Bonn, when you go to Paris, when you go to Barcelona, or the capital of Spain, the capital of the UK, the capital of the major European countries. Now, it is a vision of the leader of the time of what they wanted their country to be. Things just didn't rise out of the ashes saying, well, this is what I'm going to be. No. These leaders, these prime mayors, these presidents that were world leaders of that time, my friend, they had a vision. They had gravitas. When they stood to speak, people listened.
People did listen.
People listened to them. Putin, Rishi, it's a pity about Biden, but let me bring him into it. Biden, when you look at the Chancellor for Bonn, the President of France, the Prime Mayor of Spain, the president and prime minister of Italy, major European countries, when they stand now, it's like mice. They squeak.
They're nothing,
Nobody,
Gary. They're not.
nobody
They're
listens.
nothing. I must say. I must say.
Nobody them.
Even Tony Blair had a gravitas at that point. Even Tony Blair, I must say, even though the Stop the War coalition didn't really move him, But back to Michelle, what Michelle is saying, what did Putin do, Syldbourne? How about what the US has done? That's a big debate as well, and because my post was in favor of Putin as well, in to a certain extent, being to the fact that he said some things which was actually resonate with a lot of people. America has done so much. I heard what's her name the other day, the Vice President of America, Kamala Harris, saying, "Make no mistake about this. We are going to war crimes or whatever is going against Russia and Putin and so like that." And practically everybody on the post was actually saying, "Okay, and what about America? And what about America? And what about America? What about America?" As the point that Michelle is saying, and it is very clear that there's this massive need of coming together. And I keep saying it. And even I was on BBC the other day, I was saying, even with the high cost of living, with British Gas making 3 billion within a quarter, Shell and BP making so much money, and yet at the same time, they're asking people for windfall, asking them to give windfall, to give handout to the people in the UK, when really and truly, some leadership, some strength of leaders should be bringing everybody around the table, Gary, and say to them, "Come on, let's sort this thing out now. You guys are making so much money, and yet at the same time, you guys say it was Putin. You're making billions extra. You're making billions extra. You're making billions extra. This don't make sense." And nobody is saying that, Gary. No, well, I'm saying it. I've been saying it, and you have been saying this. And so we got to push this sort of narrative and not get into these frills. Anyway, that's my talk for the day. I mean, and even in Jamaica, rubbish going on in Jamaica with the whole thing with they're not allowing the local government elections. The local government elections. That is something that should have happened so many times. Listen, I was talking to someone today, and we broke it down. The government of Jamaica in present won the last election, and please, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, with 37% of the eligible electorate. 37%. What I do not know, and I should have known this before, and I'm going to get some information and come back, is how many persons are on that register at that time. 37% of them voted. Yet the present government have a majority. And then what we're seeing now is that the local government election has been postponed so many times. And yet at the same time, during COVID, they also had a general election, right? And as far as I'm concerned, what is going to happen is that maybe the local government election will be sending a message to the present government. Because that's what local government elections tend to always do. And I cannot believe this for my life, is that Jamaicans back home allow this to happen right in their backyard. How can they allow this to happen? How can they allow? Anyway, we talk another time, guys.
I think what we have to understand and know and see, that whatever happens outside in the United States, at least Jamaica always seems to follow. Whether it's done.
Follow fashion dog never drink good soup. And it's follow fashion dog never drink good soup. La 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 la.
But whatever happens in the United States or in the UK, Jamaica always seems to follow, whether it's done intentionally or not. but I don't think it should be strange. It shouldn't be strange. I don't see it strange. Because from when we were small growing up and having a little sense coming into sensibility, right? It's always been the case, Stillborn.
Yes.
This has always, so it should not. That question you asked, you should be able to answer that. Really. But it's sad. It's sad to know Jamaica really doesn't have a way out for itself. It doesn't have a way out for itself.
Yes.
That's the sad thing about it. Jamaica seems to always follow someone, and but they'll make it out to say that they're making their own decisions. No, they're not making their own decisions.
Well, I've always said it. And I've said it many times on this program here, and during the election period, and during the independence period, and the independence is coming on more. And I'll never go to another independence service on this breadth here of what they're saying is independence. It cannot be independence if you have to actually swear allegiance to the King of England, right? And as far as I'm concerned, in 1962, when they had the so-called independence, and when the Brits so-called left the UK, the land was left there for the people. The land was there for the people, to be apportioned to the people, to give them a leg up, not to be in the hands of UDC, not to be crown lands and to be selling out to the Asians or sending to the Indians or sending to the Spanish or whatever like that. It should be for the people. And if people are going to say, do we want reparation? Well, yes, you can chant down Babylon one more time and march on down in the street. But at the same time, you need to chant down Babylon also and go to Jamaica and say, we need those land. And people are going to say to me, well, it's too late now. Well, it's never too late for reparation, according to you. So why is it late for giving the land to the people as well? You know, it is a very controversial point, and I don't get much friends for saying this at the same time, because as far as I'm concerned, Jamaica just full of chat at this time, pure chat. You know, everybody's chatting, Gary. Everybody's talking, bloggers, everybody's chatting. Nobody's making even the whole thing regarding the overseas voting, which we spoke about. And surprisingly, I spoke about it last week, and I saw Nationwide had it today about diaspora voting. Been going on for years, from 2004, and it is still there, as if to say it's something new.
Still good.
Waste of space, man.
Still good.
Backside.
That is, I mean, depending on what the chat is about, Jamaica, what Jamaica is doing now, what the politicians are doing now, is what politicians have always done.
Yeah.
Chat.
Yeah.
And chat. This is the flavor. This is the topic now in which has caught their attention.
Yeah.
This is what's going on in Jamaica, so it's a lot of chat. A lot of chat.
Yes. Yes.
So again, it's nothing new. Nothing new. I mean, Michael Manley did the same thing. Yaga did the same thing.
Money shall jingle in your pocket. And then a man say, me don't want no jingle, want paper money. And then Michael Manley said, we have to feed the people fundamentally. And Michael Manley said, well, this is the one I like about Michael Manley. My father used to have his videos. He said, what? They lie on Monday, they lie on Tuesday, they lie on Wednesday, they lie on Thursday, they lie on Friday, they lie. God help them, they lie on a Sunday. For the first time at last. But anyway, Gary, it was fun anyhow still. But we just have to follow these things through. And what I'm going to follow through is find out those statistics regarding Jamaica as well. Find out some more about what's going on with Sasha. Finding out also about what happened to that young black girl there. What has been the outcome of that? Because it is silent. Because it can only be a 9-day wonder if you allow it to be a 9-day wonder. And therefore, for me to be asking the question, what happened to that girl, I should be having some answers as to say, what happened to that young black girl there who was beaten up? We shouldn't be asking the question. We should find out what it is. And we should be finding out what is happening to Shola. And we should find out what happened to Sasha as well. And find these different solutions. Let's bring it to an end and stop just chatting for chatting's sake.
That's it's. You see, still,
yeah.
What you and I and others like-minded within the UK, within Jamaica, in the United States, and other areas of the world, what we must come to realize is that Dr. Shola is not going to be the first, and she certainly won't be the last.
Yes.
And you Sylybourne,
Mm.
you hear me? You.
Yes.
We'll talk to you now, you know. You may be the next one to receive a letter. Now, if you got a letter like that tomorrow morning, what would you really do? What would you expect the police to do? How would you act? I could be the next one.
Yeah.
You know, there may be someone that's not lucky to get a letter, but I tell you what, they will probably may get the knife to the head or the bullet to the head.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
So where does this thing finish? Where is it going to finish?
Yes.
That is the question. What are the authorities? What's the agencies that power to do what needs to be done? When are they going to do something?
And the whole thing about it is that I believe Malcolm X, they said when he was killed, I believe maybe it was some black men. I believe they talk about even Martin Luther King. Some are saying it's maybe a black man or so like that. They always talk about that. And sometimes when I hear that activists get shot and get killed or so, it's just a black person. But then there could be some sort of forces behind it, some sort of thing behind it. So we just have to be wise. And we have to be a martyr for the cause. We've got to be a martyr for the cause. And then, Saturday night, talk and sip. I'm going to follow through with all these different things, these different topics as well. And exorbitant airfares, talking about that. We'll try to get some resolution on that as well. Yes. And yes, Gary. Okay. So
no problem at all.
Peace out.
I see Vita put LOL on the chat there. So
she's happy. She's happy. She's happy. When she do that, she's happy. Vita is happy.
Let's come up. Let's know what it is up to her to be smiling, man.
Okay, now just say greetings. Greetings when we finish.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Greetings. Yeah. All right, Gary. Well, listen, we'll talk, yeah? And I'll talk to you shortly. Just
yes.
Yeah. All best. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining the show, and thank you so much for the time. And please like and share as well. Numbers very limited, are very few, but nevertheless, still, the most important thing is that the contents and the discussion is full of fire and very forceful at the same time. And we just got to follow through and build and build and build and build. So Saturday night, talk and sip. See you later. And I think I'm on Snapchat, but not Snapchat. TikTok. People are trying to add me on TikTok. But hi, how are you doing? Bless you. How are you doing? Awesome on TikTok. So I see you later. God bless you and have a good one. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Let's go.